This is CBC Vancouver News.
New tonight, a controlled burn may have contributed to the merging of the massive fire that's devastated the Shuswap.
Were there impacts or spot fires from that planned ignition? Yes.
Meanwhile, several pieces of firefighting equipment in that area stolen. The impacts far-reaching as locals take stock and take action themselves.
We were right there. We were trying to fight the fire ourselves because we had no help. So we had like 3 pumps set up.
And in the Kelowna area, the magnitude of the loss sinks in.
Trying to navigate the emotions that come along with it, trying to plan out what the next steps are.
We have reporters stationed across southern BC tonight for the very latest on BC's wildfires and what's been left in their wake. Good evening, I'm Tanya Fletcher, and we begin tonight with new information about what led up to the fires that have destroyed parts of the Shuswap. The BC Wildfire Service confirms a controlled burn may have contributed to the merging of 2 fires that wound up devastating the community. The planned ignition happened Thursday, the same day the province warned of worsening weather and erratic winds. Fire officials today say the winds suddenly changed directions, but that merging likely would have happened regardless.
In any planned ignition of that size, there are going to be spot fires as a result of it. So to say that the ignition started the Bush Creek East fire, that fire has been burning for over a month. So that piece is definitely, not true. And fire would have moved south. Whether we did an ignition or not, that fire was going to move south, and it moved at such a pace. So 20 kilometers is how far it moved in under a 12-hour period. I don't think there's another fire in recent BC history since we've been firefighting. I do not know of another fire that has exhibited extreme fire behavior like that.
Well, that fire has destroyed homes, stores, the fire department, and a community hall. Today, nearly 5,000 properties in the Columbia Shuswap Regional District remain under an evacuation order, while around 900 other properties remain under alert tonight. As BC's wildfire evacuees make their way out of danger, stories of terror and devastation are coming out right along with them. Yvette Brand is in the Shuswap region tonight with a closer look at what's been left behind.
The firestorm hit the Shuswap region northeast of Kamloops with no warning.
Everybody were out there and we were all trying to get sprinklers going, and all of a sudden that just blew over the river and...
Just in seconds, amazing.
Oh, terrible.
People fought flames to the last minute.
The gas station blew up. Our trailer park burnt down, so we were right there. We were trying to fight the fire ourselves because we had no help, so we had like 3 pumps set up.
He says one man almost didn't escape.
And I looked, it was all red. It was all red. I thought, is that fire or is that smoke? Smoke doesn't go red like that. It was a fire, eh? The red flames were showing about 2 blocks over top of the mountain, eh?
A steady stream of evacuees headed here to Kamloops Reception Centre.
I think we lost everything. My chickens, my cat, all the trailers, everything. I wanted to go back, but we couldn't.
The concern is about the number of properties that may have burnt down.
There has been very widespread impact in some of these communities. Probably some of the most extreme fire behavior BC might have ever seen.
Fires and roadblocks are driving frustration. In the town of Chase, a driver ignored a roadblock and headed toward the fire.
Until I went over the bridge, all the sprinklers are going and the fire is right there. And I'm thinking, oh my God, hurry up traffic, get off the bridge.
She did get out.
I mean, so many people have worked so hard to get where they are, have kids, go to school and all that kind of stuff. And then this happens. And you think of Kelowna, where they're worse off than we are.
Her house stands, but many are gone. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Kamloops.
Well, firefighters battling those flames that have decimated entire blocks in the Shuswap have been dealt yet another blow. Some of their firefighting equipment has been stolen.
But the problem is we don't have any left. Like they're all deployed. So the Scotch Creek Bridge, that would have like 3, 4, 5 large sprinklers, hoses from each of those, probably 1 or 2 pumps. That's been stolen 3 times, and now there's a 4th set on there. So a set is like going to be multiple pumps, multiple hoses, multiple sprinklers. I can't think of another time where it's at the scale of what's happening right now. Like, again, we'll have a pump or hose or stuff stolen every now and then, and that's expected, but the amount of stuff that's stolen and like repeatedly we'll set it up and it will be gone and set it up and will be gone. That is, beyond what normally happens.
They say the thefts are mainly happening in the Shuswap North area. The structure protection teams had set up equipment in designated areas, but that is not monitored at all times. Fire officials say this equipment is vital to keeping the fire at bay and preventing more devastation. RCMP have now been tasked with ramping up patrols to prevent would-be thieves from taking any more equipment. Well, meanwhile, some evacuees from the Shuswap have found support in Salmon Arm. Benny Brach met with some who've lost their homes and are anxiously awaiting answers.
This family holding tight to the memories of their home.
We got married at our home. We had ceremonial grounds in our backyard where we helped ourselves and lots of people.
Just one of the properties devastated by the Bush Creek East wildfire in the community of Squilax. A family left with few answers for now, hoping to soon find a home. It's pain communities nearby can relate to as well. Overnight, the Bush Creek wildfire, west side of Adams Lake, and lower East Adams fire merged into the Shuswap area, growing fast with strong winds. It now burns at more than 41,000 hectares. Homes lost, buildings reduced to ashes.
This fire's been burning for weeks now, and it didn't become ultra aggressive until the winds came up on Thursday night.
The fire affecting multiple communities, including Sorrento, Scotch Creek, Lee Creek, Chase, the Adams Lake area, and as far east as Magna Bay.
This is absolutely the most devastating wildfire that's ever been experienced in the Shuswap, and in my 20 years of being an emergency responder.
The impact has left thousands away from their homes.
All of a sudden it was one little flame.
The mountain on our side was
and literally in half an hour it just blew up, and we just packed everything.
Right now it's just trying to get my devices charged and get back and just stay put. There's nothing else we can do. Well, we're lucky that we have our motorhome and we're all safe.
It was smoky and it was getting warm, and you could feel the fire getting warmer.
The battle is an international effort. About 450 firefighters are fighting the blaze, according to the regional district, including crews from Costa Rica and Brazil. And locals also rallying together, like at this restaurant, with staff offering a free warm lunch with barbecue pork, Vietnamese subs, pies, and pastries.
An enormous amount of stress, and if we can just give them a nice warm meal and a place to sit and relax and talk to each other, and maybe it'll alleviate some of the stress.
A moment of relief, as many are still left wondering what they will return home to. Benny Brach, CBC News, Salmon Arm.
Let's shift gears now, heading further south, where the hard reality is setting in for evacuees who found out their homes were consumed by those aggressive flames last week. For many, answers have been hard to come by, and they've come through searching for photos and videos on social media. Brady Strachan continues our team coverage from Kelowna.
This video shows the devastating reality. More than a dozen homes destroyed in West Kelowna's Rose Valley neighborhood. It was uploaded to a local Facebook page and provided to CBC by homeowners. This is what's left of Heiko Berkfeld's house.
So you can clearly see it's burned down and it's still smoking still. And that was very tough to take.
His worst fears were confirmed on Saturday, and the emotions are still very raw.
Yeah, yesterday we were crying a lot, but it's getting better. But every time when the subject comes up, it still comes. Tears come out too again, right? So it takes a long time to get over that day.
Yeah, so this was the first photo.
Neighbor Sigan Labokane also learned the fate of her home from the internet. In her case, it was a door camera video taken from across the street that confirmed the grim reality.
You could see the active flames there, and at that moment I knew, okay, this is real and that it's not looking good.
She's taking refuge at a friend's home in Surrey with her pets, feeling grateful her family made it out alive, but uncertain about the future.
Just, trying to navigate the emotions that come along with it, and also kind of staying strong, moving forward, and trying to plan out what the next steps are.
West Kelowna remains blanketed in a thick layer of smoke as an estimated 500 firefighters work to stop the spread of the massive blaze, now estimated at more than 100 square kilometers in size. An official tally of the number of homes destroyed has not yet begun, but that will come in the coming days.
That is going to be a very difficult process, both logistically and emotionally. I understand it's tough news to receive. And with technology, some people may already, be aware of what happened.
And for those who have seen the photos confirming the worst, thoughts of what is now lost forever bring on strong emotions.
Pictures. I had an old picture. I was like as old as I am, 50 years old. And like the oil painting. And that's, I wanted to take that with me, but I just was no time.
Brady Strachan, CBC News, Kelowna.
And let's take you further west now. The Kookipi Creek wildfire near Boston Bar more than quadrupled in size since Friday morning. That fire also swift, along with the evacuation orders that followed for the Lytton First Nation and the Kanaka Bar Indian Band. We sent our Janella Hamilton to Hope, where some of those evacuees found refuge at a lodge.
That sky was moving 50 miles an hour or whatever in a direction that we've never experienced, wind going, and it felt like a tornado. It felt like being in a tornado.
When Shonina Loss and her family saw billowing smoke and an orange glow in the sky Thursday, they knew the Kookipi Creek fire was inching closer and they'd have to act fast.
So it went from just a little plume of white smoke within hours to a complete inferno.
They quickly jumped into action, grabbing sprinklers to wet down their home before RCMP ordered them out.
If my children weren't there, I would have stayed to fight the fire. But because they're my priority, I had to leave with them.
The Kookipi fire was discovered July 8th, exploding in size a few days ago in high winds and hot, dry conditions. By the weekend, the fire had grown to about 10,500 hectares, forcing evacuations around Boston Bar and the Nahatlatch River.
Here's the hot spots, and my house is just at the foot of the mountain.
The family is among 42 evacuees at this lodge in Hope.
They are very disconnected with their community, with their family, with their friends. This campsite is, a safeguard for them.
Elvira and James Phillips have lived in Boothroyd for 25 years, a community 12 kilometers north of Boston Bar. They say they're grateful to have a place to stay, a place they can get meals and a few simple comforts. So, have you slept at all?
Yeah, the eyes was closed, but the mind still.
Yeah, well,
still
we ended up staying in a motel until we found out that we could come here.
Along with homes, the Nahatlatch Fire Tower was also likely destroyed in the inferno, a historic landmark Lost sees as a stark symbol of their devastated landscapes.
I feel like we haven't stopped grieving. We had the loss of Lytton, then we had the floods. Then we had a brutal winter.
She is scared and grieving, and not for the first time. She lost her business in the fire that burned Lytton to the ground 2 years ago and says she is still traumatized.
The devastation of just bones of a landscape, and because we choose to live where we live.
Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Hope.
Let's bring in our Darius Madavi for a look at the forecast. And Darius, is it safe to say the worst of it might be behind us in terms of what we can expect for wildfire forecast?
I think for the near future, at least, the worst might be behind us. You can see here, today we did have temperatures once again, especially in the south, at or below seasonal, which is good news. We don't want to pass that 30-degree threshold once again. That would be bad news. So good news is that temperatures have stayed low today, which probably helped in terms of getting some of these fires, if not under control, at least holding them back. Now, tomorrow, temperatures are going to come up. You can see we hit 30s once again in parts of the southern interior, but it will be a temporary bump. We're going to have a low pressure system move across the province starting tomorrow, and that is going to bring some of those temperatures back down for at least a few days this week. So a little bit more good news here. If we take a look at today's humidity, we had extremely low humidity in parts of the interior Kamloops at 13% relative humidity. That's extremely low, extremely dry. We didn't have any of that moisture in the air that those fuels could suck up. So some good news here. Tomorrow, humidity will come up at least a little bit as some moisture gets pushed through the province from the low pressure system that will be on the coast. So we have a bit more humidity. The last thing we care about, other than precipitation, is winds. Today we had relatively slow winds, not too much excitement happening, very slow, not gusty either. Some of the directions are not what we're hoping for, like Kelowna. We would hope that it would be blowing in a different direction, but that's not the end of the world. Wind speeds are that low. Tomorrow, speeds pick up a little bit, but still fairly reasonable. These are the max speeds we're expecting to see across the province, so shouldn't be too bad news. And then lastly, I won't leave you without the overall forecast. I'm sure people still want to know generally what the conditions are looking like. So a bit of cloud moving in the south, but still relatively sunny through the province and fairly seasonal temperatures pretty much across the board.
All right, we will bring you back at the end of the show to take a look at the South Coast. Thank you so much, Darius.
Thank you.
Well, the province has restricted non-essential travel to the southern interior, blocking tourists from taking up hotels and other accommodations. Yet some air passengers are still being booked to fly to the area. Others aren't getting full refunds for Airbnb reservations. Yasmin Vanea has more on the mounting frustrations from people.
It's been really frustrating because there's a lot of unknowns at this point.
American resident Josh Rutherford was supposed to fly to Kelowna this week to see his girlfriend. But she has been forced to leave her home and is now in Calgary.
She's going through one of the worst seasons of her life right now because of this disaster. And I would love to be there for her and to help her out.
Rutherford has a flight traveling from the U.S. through Calgary to Kelowna. He thought Delta Airlines could let him end his trip in Calgary and return from there rather than continuing on to Kelowna, but was told changing the flight will cost hundreds of dollars. Meanwhile, tourists are also having trouble getting refunds from Airbnb for rentals in travel-restricted zones. Alberta's Ashley Kumont has a 4-night reservation in West Kelowna at the end of the month, costing her $6,500. She tried getting a refund from Airbnb under its extenuating circumstances policy, but the company told her her coverage ends before her check-in date.
It's completely impractical on all ends. I don't even understand why this has to be a conversation.
She says evacuees need accommodations much more than she does.
We currently have people sleeping on cots in an arena, and that just speaks to the dire need of mass accommodation at this time.
The Airbnb host in this case has refunded Kumont for about half of what she paid. Airbnb says it'll wait to see how the fire situation unfolds in the Okanagan before fully refunding her, even though the province's travel restrictions are in place until September 4th. As for Rutherford, after CBC News contacted Delta Airlines, the company says it apologizes to him as he was given inconsistent information and is working to make amends. The provincial government says it urges airlines and businesses to work with their customers during this challenging time. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Still ahead, the wildfire situation in Yellowknife takes a positive turn, but it's still not safe enough for evacuees to return home. We'll have the very latest from the Northwest Territories next. Welcome back. Rain and cooler temperatures have slowed the fire burning dangerously close to Yellowknife, but it is expected to start moving again with drier conditions. Cameron McIntosh has the latest on the effort to fight that fire and house the people displaced.
Literally fighting fire with fire. Helicopters dropping fire from the air to create controlled burns, to consume the fuel feeding the wildfire threatening Yellowknife, as water-bombing planes also attack the wildfire itself. All while crews continue to cut around 10 kilometers of control lines. But there are no guarantees it'll work.
Some troubling trends in the forecast in terms of winds.
Fire officials say flames may still push through.
The city is not safe. We strongly encourage folks to, who have not left, to leave.
Most people, 19,000 residents, already have. Many driving over 24 hours to places like Edmonton, registering here as evacuees, including Michael Uy.
So what are your biggest needs right now?
So the hotel or the accommodation.
The plan is to put up to 5,000 people in hotels here. That will take days to sort out. It's a similar story in other communities, including Calgary, also housing about 5,000 people.
It is encouraging because this is what we do, right? Like, we're Alberta. I can't say enough good, right?
Yellowknife City Councillor Steve Payne is grateful, but also warns this likely won't be a short visit.
There's a lot of rumors going around. I've heard between 3 and 5 weeks. I've heard, we're hoping to get back next week, but who knows?
So distractions welcome, like a free trip to the zoo.
We're going to see a giraffe.
Probably no giraffe, but we're going to see the zoo.
Zoo.
Yes.
Exhausted, evacuees are realizing this will take patience.
Reporting, and here's a live shot of Canby Street in Vancouver City Hall. A bit of optimism on the horizon when it comes to our wildfire forecast. Darius Madavi will have the long-range outlook next.
I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
The Punjabi Market Live Festival returns on August 27th, and CBC Vancouver is proud to be the exclusive media partner. Enjoy live entertainment, great food, and family activities. Event info at monsoonartsfest.ca. And on September 16th, join CBC Vancouver at the second annual Come Toward the Fire, a free outdoor festival celebrating Indigenous community, culture, and creativity.
And Darius Madavi joins us once again with a look at the forecast. Darius, today we really felt that smoke settle in across many parts of BC. Any reprieve in sight from those air quality concerns?
It really depends where you are. So for people who, like us here in Vancouver, we're not enjoying the smoke along the coast, a bit of good news. The low pressure system we talked about that's setting up over the coast, moving down, is going to push a lot of that smoke away from Vancouver. So a lot of that airflow will mean we'll have much better skies. But you'll notice through much of the interior, still a ton of smoke just because of those fires just constantly generating more and more smoke. So depending on where the wind blows, some of those places will see more or less, but it'll be quite a smoky day through the interior. This is where our good news comes in. We saw that low pressure system move down and then push lots of moisture and rain up in through the interior. So lots of great news, and that'll continue for a few days yet, at least into midweek next week. Here in Vancouver, we don't see that rain until Wednesday, but it will come with lots of sunny skies on either side.
We will take what we can get. Thank you so much, Darius.
Thank you.
And that is your late news for this Sunday. For news anytime, anywhere, you can download the free CBC News app. You can also head to cbc.ca/BC for the very latest. Your next local newscast is on CBC Radio 1 on the early edition starting tomorrow morning at 5:30. Thank you so much for watching this weekend. Have a great night and stay safe.